At L&M Fine Jewelry, we hand select our diamonds to give you the very best prices possible. Monty knows a great deal when he finds one. Find your great deal at L&M Fine Jewelry.
Your diamond destination.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Samuel Akem here, and I'm back with an amazing guest. He is an Eastern Washington wide receiver, 6'2", 203 pounds, out of BC, Canada, man. I got my guy Nolan Ulm here. I'm happy to have you, bro. How are you doing, man?
Man, I'm great. I'm honored to be in the presence of a Big Sky legend in yourself. So having me,
Man, did you play with why am I blanking on his name right now? Number one, Talolo. Did you play with Talolo?
I did play with Talolo. Yep.
Man, you played with a freaking legend yourself, and if you play with Talolo, that means you play with Barrier. You got Efton Chisholm on your team, man. Like you played with your fair share of Big Sky legends yourself, man.
Yeah, definitely. Talolo was my senior as a freshman coming in, so I got some good time with Talolo. He was making plays, that's for sure.
So, we were just talking about prior to turning on the camera. We were talking about how the fall camp has been for you, and how you feel like you're a pro right now. So, talk a little bit about that. How has that been feeling for you so far this year?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Just being able to be completely focused on football. It's tough for me because I want to make such an impact outside of things that it drives me a little crazy sometimes when we're doing something from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. And it's not, it's against my will. I'm in meetings where it's like, don't really know if I need to be in here right now. So that's been, it's been a good grind, but I've just been enjoying every second of it. I'm never going to get an opportunity like this to be in a foxhole, with my brothers. And it's not going to be the same playing pro football from all the guys that I've talked to. So just really being grateful for this opportunity right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, soak it in, man. Soak it in. So you guys got your first dub this past week. You guys played on Thursday night, correct?
We did, yep.
Yeah, you guys played Monmouth. Remind me the final score of that game?
Oh, man. I know we scored 42. I think they had 27, so I think it was 42.
Yeah. How do you feel following you guys' first game of the season?
Yeah, it was good. Kind of what we expected out of their defense when we played them. We had a plan, and we honestly didn't have to go to everything that we had in it because they couldn't tackle. Yeah. Typically, they couldn't tackle number 7 on our team. So it was awesome. It was great to get rolling with 3 of us receivers. We all scored. Efton had a career night. Kakoa played incredibly well. 25 to 28, and he had 5 touchdowns. So
ridiculous.
Just super smooth. And really, in all 3 phases, there was a lot of good stuff to like. Honestly, we could have beaten them 55-7 because we didn't play the cleanest game. Not that anyone ever does. But yeah, super, super happy with the first performance, and then just looking to take that momentum into this weekend versus Drake.
Okay. So Drake, the Pioneer League champion from last year. I believe they went undefeated in that Pioneer League. St. Thomas was 7-1, if I remember correctly. How are you guys feeling going into that game?
Yeah, I haven't done a ton of scouting them. We've had just a couple days off. It's kind of been like a mini bye week. I know they have a really good D lineman, and then like you said, I think probably not going to be as talented as Monmouth, but they're going to be better coached for sure. Yeah. So it's going to be a good challenge. They're coming here. Everyone who comes to the Red wants to win. And so it'll be good. 2 home games back to back, especially for us, building a little bit of momentum from 2 seasons that we're not very proud about as a program before this. So super super excited heading into this.
Yeah. So what were I know I spoke to you at the Big Sky Media Day, and after having our conversation there, I really wanted to get you on the channel to talk a little bit more. What are some of your goals for this season, and what do you guys some of your? Obviously the Big Sky Championship. You guys want to make the playoffs, get to the national championship. But what are some of your goals as a player this year, going into this season? Already being a game in,
Yeah, that's a great question, and I honestly, everyone has the same goals. Like I want to be first team All Big Sky. I want to be an All American. I know that I have the ability to do that, especially being in the position where up until this year, I've had to rotate with guys because we've had such a deep room. I mean, I came into a room where you look back at that 2020 room or 2021 room that you were talking about, 3 of those guys have gotten NFL shots so far.
Yeah.
Another guy got a CFL tryout. Another one's starting at UMass right now. And then there's me and Efton.
The young guys.
It was a pretty loaded room, and so I've been blessed. It was a blessing and a curse to come into a room like that where all those guys had years to play, but now it's really just Efton and I just kind of we're not coming off the field anymore. So, I mean, my goals, it'd be so easy to say stats and all these things, but I found that just kind of takes me out of the present moment, and I can't really control that. Like, whatever I had, I'm not even going to look at the stats this year. Honestly, I know I had a touchdown and I think like 5 catches or something like that. But like I can't control the ball coming to me, and our game plan, like we had a game plan to take shots, and we just didn't end up taking them because we didn't need to. So I guess my goals really is like to control the process, like attack my process every single day, maximize the time that I have, and be completely obsessed with what I can control. For example, like I didn't watch any, this might sound crazy, but I didn't watch any of their Big Sky games on Saturday because like I'll watch the film when we're going to scout the team, but it's a waste of my time. It's just entertainment at that point, right? It sounds a little intense, but I'm going to make the most of my time, and like being worried about catches and stats and accolades, it's not really going to get me to that point. Like I just want to grow as a human and as a player. And so that's really my goal, especially being on an offense where like there could be games in my position where I don't get the ball the first 3 quarters and then I have 8 catches in a row. Just the role that I'm in. So yeah, I guess those are my goals. And then really just leading. Like I just want to, I want to win games. Now I'm not like super attached to that because, dude, there's like a million variables with whether or not you win in college football. It's not even close to up to me. However, I can make a little influence. So I'm going to maximize that influence that I have.
100%, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. You mentioned some of the vets that you had. And one thing I think I started to realize now, having conversations with Keelan Jr. and Aaron, is like how much of an impact I had on them as a vet. Keelan made a comment. We were at the Big Sky game on Friday night. He made a comment about, like you used to do this after we used to break it down. And, I do that now. I've carried on the legacy. And it's just things that I hear from them in conversation. It's just like, wow, like I did not know how obviously as an older guy, you're having some of an impact on a guy. Like you don't know how big that impact is. So what would you say is some of the impact that Andrew Boston or Tololo or what is it? Was it Roberson? Robert Roberson was the other receiver you were speaking of?
Freddie Roberson.
What kind of impact did those guys have on you as a young guy?
Oh, a ton. Even now, I was thinking a lot about it. Like I've noticed I've been referencing the past a lot this year. And like, how were they with me when I was a freshman? Like, how should I be with these freshmen? I never really thought about that when I wasn't a senior before that. And so, they made such a huge impact on me. There's just so many memories that keep popping up where it's like, oh, Lo was like this with me, or he said this to me, or like he shut me down in this moment, or they did this, they did that. Things that I want to do that they did, things also I want to do differently that they did. And guys like Freddie and I was a lot deeper with Freddie. We had a lot of really deep conversations. And the first day that I got on campus, literally, I was one of one to walk 30 minutes to this park and meet him in a park, and we did release drills. So that's just the receiver culture here, right? Like we work for everything we get, and that's from Coop and all those guys. But yeah, a ton. And I still, Lo texted me the other day because I posted on my story of senior season, and he was like, times have changed, like it's crazy. Just like you said, right, with Keelan, it's very, very similar to where that's the beautiful thing about college football and it being a vehicle to impact lives. Like you don't get that opportunity to be so close with these guys where, like you said, they look up to you so much. They're watching your every move. They want to do what you are doing in that given moment. And that's what we are right now, especially with Efton and I. And it's just like, it's crazy to be in that position. And I'm very aware of, like, I'm not going to do it perfect. However, my goal is to leave the same thing, like I've just said to you earlier, is that
in the Treasure State, University of Montana football is a way of life. Lithia Ford has long been a proud sponsor of Grizz football, and Lithia Ford of Missoula is thrilled to have several of the best Montana football seniors driving the best trucks in Montana. Aspen Sound is the premier car audio and accessory shop in Montana. Aspen Sound makes sure the boys are riding in style with tinted windows and state-of-the-art stereo systems. There's always a party in Montana. Whether you're going to a concert, a wedding, or a football game, the Montana Party Bus will get you there. Skyline Sports and ESPN MT cover the Big Sky with more depth than anyone. Check out SkylineSportsMT.com and tune in to Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula every day. My Montana Roots and Wear Your Roots clothing is your go-to spot for the most unique and comfortable lifestyle clothing you'll find anywhere. And get your custom t-shirts to support your favorite player. From 5 local businesses who love Montana, best of luck to the Grizz as they pursue another Big Sky Conference championship.
I don't care about my legacy with the stats on the field, this, that, because no one could tell you the exact numbers of Cooper Kupp, but they could tell you how he worked.
Yeah.
They'll tell you how he attacked the process. And so that's what I want to leave, because that ultimately will transfer into the rest of their life too, whether or not they play in the NFL, CFL, or any league, right?
Right. It's funny that you mentioned the touchdowns, because I was thinking about that earlier. And Coach Nuanez, who I work with at Skyline Sports, that's who I was with at the Big Sky Media Day. We were on air, or we were recording a podcast one time for the Big Sky Breakdown, and he made a comment about, like, I tied the Montana record for touchdowns at Montana at 29, and Cooper Kupp had like 80 touchdowns, and it's just like, bro, like, he was on a whole different stratosphere, man. Like,
yeah.
So in terms of your first game this year, what felt good for you, and what do you think you could improve on?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was good. There's one play I wish I could have back. Pass got broken up, but like I totally could have caught it. But other than that, like, blocked my tail off, and like I had a really good prep leading up to the game. Like, I can get super in depth with you. Like, my couple tweaks would be, I didn't drink my beet juice before the game. It just kind of got lost in the shuffle, so I'm gonna do that this next week. And then also I drink beet juice before practice and cherry juice after. There's a bunch of science behind how it improves performance, and then cherry juice, how it increases recovery. And then that was like basically it. There was like a couple things with like my uniform that I wanted to tweak. Like, I don't know if I'll wear tights next week, because that was super, like, it was really, really hot out there, and I feel like I want to keep my core temperature down. Anyways, though, I'm just telling you, like, this is how detailed I get with it, and basically everything else up to that point, though, was super, super proud of how I handled it. And then there's just like certain moments in the game, things that like I wasn't cognitive of that I'm going to fix, like just some positioning on blocking stuff, like finishing inside if it's a run to, things like that. So that's kind of what I want to improve on. But really, like, if I just keep attacking the prep like I have been and keep finding those little improvements, I know it'll lead to the results that I want.
Man, it's so interesting hearing you talk, because I'm in graduate school getting my master's in sports psychology right now. So right. You seem like a very process-oriented guy. A lot of times when people talk about setting goals, it's good to set outcome goals, but it's even better to set process goals as to how you're going to get to those outcomes. Because sometimes when you set an outcome goal, like, I want to win this amount of games, just like you said about playing the sport, there's so many things with playing football that you can't control, so you can't always control the outcome. How did you become a process-oriented guy? How did you develop that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's just what's led me to become who I am, and it just never really made sense. Like, you can use that goalpost as a burn or a why, whatever you want to call it, to take the action to get there. Mm-hmm. Like, when I'm in the offseason, I want to go to the NFL. When it's like, dang, I do not feel like getting the rest of my 500 catches today, I'm going to go do it because that's my goal, to go to the NFL. But like, when I'm playing football, if I were to think like, I want to go to the NFL, then you're going to, I don't know, in my opinion, play tight, and you're going to be like grabbing for something. Like, we don't create success, we attract success by who we become. And so that's really where it came from. And it just like, I know that other people aren't going to do this process stuff, and that in the end I'll prevail. And even if it's not in football, like just in life, like, it doesn't really make sense to place your feelings or how you feel about yourself or how you feel about success on things that you can't control. You can always control your process. So, and then like you said, like, you look at Coop's records, and that was a big one for me, is I wanted to break all those records, just like everybody who comes in here. But guess what? My skill set was different. I was at a different point in my journey. We had NFL, like 7 dudes that were going to get NFL shots. He had Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne wasn't even in the room when he got there. Shaq Hill was injured. Like, you know what I mean? There's so many variables. Like, he came into a room that, like, had nobody. Played the whole time. We were throwing the rock. Like, and he was a great player. He was polished. He had a ton of talent. You know, like, so you could get into all those variables if you're getting obsessed about the outcome, and it'll drive you crazy. So I just can lay my pillow down, or my head down on my pillow at night. I think you can relate to this with, like, if you really just focus on the process. Because, like, you probably could be going crazy over, like, man, I could have been the leader for touchdowns. But, like, I don't know. If you can look back at, like, how you spent your days and you're proud of that, like, you can let go of that pretty quickly, you know?
Yeah. I do think about that a lot. But my damn collarbone, man. But also, you know, similar to you, I mean, I think about a play here, a play there, where that would have got me another touchdown. And, you know, against Eastern, I would have broken the record if I would have maybe caught another pass earlier. But I don't like to get caught up with that. We're talking about you right now. I want to take it back to a young Nolan. What were you like as a young kid? And, like, what kind of sports were you playing? What were you into? And how did you make your way into football?
Yeah. I was always, like, pretty good at football up in a small town in Canada, whatever that means. I played everything, and then really, like, what changed for me was in 9th grade, like, I just kind of was tired of being, like, just good. I don't know, like, I just had this moment so clear. I was on this, we lost a playoff game, and I was like, man, I'm just tired of, like, being called baby gap, being skinny, being all these things. Like, I just want to go, like, be better. And so, you know, I went to, we had a family vacation in Hawaii, and before we went, I was walking through the house, and I saw, like, Rocky 5 on the TV, you know, on one of those movie channels that's playing movies 24/7. I'm like, Rocky 5? I didn't even know there was a Rocky 5, right? Like, he's training this guy, and then they're fighting in a bar. It's like this weird, it's the worst one. Don't watch it. But it got me to ask my grandma, though. I was like, hey, Grandma, can you get me the Blu-ray set, back when Blu-rays were a thing, of the Rockies? So I got them, took them to Hawaii, and I put that first one in, and I don't even know how to explain it. Just touched, like, deep in my soul. And that was it. I was like, I can be Rocky. Like, we all can be Rocky. We all can become. And as crazy as it sounds, like, that's what changed my life. I came back, started waking up at 5 a.m., started going to the gym after school, like, just 24, started drinking water, started eating really good food. And I just started to, you know, my change started with the physical, because that's what I got made fun of. And it just kind of gave me a whole new identity that, like, wait, I can really just be the hardest worker in the room anywhere. And it's really not that hard of a choice. It's like a couple inches of separation. And so that's just who I became. And I ran towards pain. I got uncomfortable. I did the things nobody else wanted to do. And that's what really, I had this pipe dream of going D1. You know, like, about a year later from that, I saw Chase Cota on this phone who played at Oregon. And that's what inspired me to go all in on football. So I was always just kind of like a normal kid. I know it's weird for me saying that, but you ask anyone on our team, they're going to be like, who's the craziest person? Who's the most intense? They're going to say it's me, because I don't know. I know that we only get one life. I'm not going to, you know, like, dip my toe. I'm going to jump in head first to this thing and give it everything I got. And football was that vehicle for me, and has been. Like, even when I got to Eastern, I was not good. I was a project, and I've grinded to be in this role where I'm a team captain and starter, and got a little bit of recognition last year, and hoping to really capitalize on that this year. But sport has been a vehicle for me to change as a human being. And that's what I really believe for all of us, is that sport is a vehicle to impact lives and create human beings. Like, not everybody's going to go to the NFL. Not everybody's going to go to the NHL, the NBA. But it's about, like, it can change the world, I believe. So,
yeah. So, obviously, you made it to Eastern Washington somehow. You say you weren't good, but somebody saw something in you to want to. Were you a walk-on, or did you get a scholarship to Eastern Washington?
Yeah, I was a full guy. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, come on now, bro. Getting a scholarship to a Division I college, like, you had to have some skill. What was your high school career like?
Yeah.
At Five Valleys Restoration, we follow a very strict process of how we do people's individual contents. It starts on site after our team walks in, evaluated everything, and we start separating out what can be salvaged, what can't be salvaged. Once we determine what can be salvaged, we have to determine the processes that we want to use. We get everything back to our content cleaning facility. There is one of the processes we use that's a ultrasonic cleaning system called a fire line. It's an assembly line system where we unbox, we open the box, we see what's in it, we go through the inventory of it, we open it up. It then goes through a pre-wash system. It then goes through the ultrasonic system. It goes through a post-wash system, and then it goes through a drying system, comes back around on the assembly line, and is reboxed into a clean box, re-inventoried to make sure everything that was in there when it started is there when it comes through the system, reboxed and ready to go back into storage until it can go back into the homeowner's facility.
Five Valleys Restoration. Respond, restore, rebuild.
I guess like I played up, or like freshman year I played a little bit on varsity, a little bit. I remember I got hit stick like 6 times in one game. That was not fun. I was just super small. Sophomore year, caught a couple passes, and that's when the hard work really started to pay off a little bit. And
Yeah.
I just got trust, and then I scored some touchdowns. Like senior guys just weren't getting it done. I got in there. And then junior year, I had a pretty good year. It was like 500 yards or something. It's weird though in Canada. I think we play less games than you guys, but I have pretty good stats, not even close. Keelan had video game stats in high school,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But did you guys win? You mentioned Keelan. Did you guys win? Because he says his team won 4 games in like 3 years or something like that. Were you guys good?
But we were horrible my freshman year, and then we were good from then on out. Like I would say,
Okay.
like just above 500. My senior year, we were really good. We made it to like the quarterfinals. So yeah, Keelan's team sucked though. He was a baller though. But yeah, I had a good high school career. Like the biggest thing is I just had plays that popped off the page. Like
Yeah.
I hurdled a guy my junior year. I did that. Like I had some crazy contested catches, and like I would go to camps and I was a physical specimen because that's what I had done. I grinded in the weight room. I mean, I was cleaning like 300 pounds. Like
Damn.
yeah, and like benching 300 too. So like I came in right away and I was one of the strongest guys on the team at Eastern. But I just wasn't. I was such a raw receiver. Like I needed a lot of work, and Coach Pat was the perfect thing for me there. So yeah, I had an offer to Toledo, but that was totally like it was weird. It was like non-committable or whatever. But that's what got me on the map. I got an offer to Toledo. They called me Tarzan. They just loved that I was like just this big, fast, strong dude. And then yeah, Eastern, and then University of North Dakota. I had a partial there. That one was cool though because I had emailed them like since my sophomore year of high school. Went to the camp, like I earned that one. And Eastern was kind of on the fly, but what got me that I swear is just like who I was. Like I got on the phone with Coach Pat, who's the OC at Fresno now, and Coach Best, our head coach, and I think they could just tell like I was gonna come in and actually work hard. I was actually like my goal. And this is from what I've heard it was to be the hardest worker to ever come through Eastern Washington. Like I had visions of like being in there at 5 a.m. soaked in sweat in my t-shirt. Guys are coming in for a morning lift and I've already been there for an hour. Like that's kind of what I wanted to be known for. And that's what I am known for here. So like that always got me. And I guess I never sucked, but like in my head, like I'm striving for greatness and I was nowhere close to greatness. So like to me, that was not good. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're talking about your offer saying you weren't good. You're just making me get self-conscious, man. Like I only had one offer. What was if you think you were bad and I only like you had multiple offers, and so that's what I kind of want to talk about next is like a lot of Canadians talk about, like, because Keelan, he was a walk-on at the University of Montana.
Yeah.
He ended up earning a scholarship before he even touched the field, which spoke volumes to how he was as a player. But for you had offers coming out of Canada. So how was that? Because that's I think that's a little different than a lot of guys coming out of Canada. What is so? Talk a little bit about the recruiting process for you.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I did, like I said, like first of all, I tell every kid this. I got in a foxhole alone, just like brutal. Like I remember there was a series of multiple weeks in a row where like I would get so nervous to go to the gym. And this is me working out by myself. Like how many people genuinely get nervous to go work out by themselves? Because my coach, who played pro football and was like my big brother, he really guided me through all this. Like he would send me these workouts that were like 2.5 hours. And like the only way I'd get through them is if I was like hustling. And one of them was like 10 by 10 power cleans because it was like this German or volume or something. Like imagine that, 10 by 10. That was horrible.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I did that for like 4 years. It was really, really tough. And at the end of every new year, I watched the 4 Rockies again, and it just reset me. And I still do to this day.
Damn.
Go to a different level of, not like hell, but like the kind of though, you know, because that's what it takes. Sorry, what was the question again?
The recruiting process. You got a foxhole.
Yeah. You got me caught up in the off-season mindset. But yeah, I really like became. And then the biggest thing I did was I went to the Nike opening. Right? Back
in Oregon? Washington or whatever?
It was in Oakland. So that was the closest one. So I had to convince my mom to freaking go to Oakland. I was begging her. We planned out like 4 trips. So I'd been emailing these coaches. So I emailed. Like I started selling myself like a product. A couple coaches responded. And then I was like, okay, I really need to go to the Nike opening to have some legitimate 40 numbers, all the sort of stuff to send to these guys, right? And I went to the opening, had to go the day before to it was like a pre-combine, and then there was the regional the next day. So I earned my way to the regional. I went there, the guy was like, yeah, well, we'd love to have you tomorrow if you wanted to come. I'm like, dude, that's why I came here, to come earn a spot to the next day. So I went there. That was crazy. Like that, I was talking to a guy who was a coach at that recently, and he was saying that was the craziest Nike opening regional he's ever seen. Like Roman Wilson, Brendan Rice, Jalen McMillan, Efton was there. I was there. I mean, and then there was like a million other guys that are in the NFL. Like it was crazy. Kendall Milton. I don't know a ton about the big guys, but yeah, that was like, oh yeah, G. Scott. Like all these guys were there. It was crazy. DJ Ugalele. Yeah, it was crazy. That was the first pass I caught was from DJ. So I was like, okay, I'm really like here. We're doing it. So I went there and I had a really good score. I was top 40 on the West Coast, I want to say, from all the other regionals, from my 40 and stuff. And then Coach Pat reached out to me, said he wanted me to come to the camp. I went to the University of North Dakota camp because we were like, no matter what, I'm gonna go get that, because that staff had really poured into me for years. And so I went, did really well at that camp, earned an offer there. And then even out of the Nike opening thing, like what got me Toledo is I went on this tour with these guys from California. It was crazy. It was like a OC Elite. He's like, man, if you come with me, you'll get an offer. Like we're going to go to 16 schools, you know, like one of those tours. So we did that. It was like 8 days and we hit like, I want to say like 12 schools or something like that. Just camping everywhere. Went to University of Michigan. That was like a really big eye-opening thing for me. Like just like welcome to college football. We did the gauntlet. I dropped like 3 balls, did a somersault, just like so bad. But then one-on-ones, I was making plays and doing good. But just like that's a shock, right? As a Canadian kid, I've never had a scout ever, like a UBC, you know, maybe some Canadian schools. I go and it's like sideline, the whole sideline, every school you could name is there. Jim Harbaugh is right there standing watching us. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, and then I got the hang of it, got the offer from Toledo, had a good day there. Went to University of North Dakota, got that, and then I came to Eastern, and I was like, I'm never coming to this crap hole. I stood there, I'm like, I'm never coming to this place. Because I'd been to Purdue, and I didn't understand, like, what to look for, like, and then I did really well at that camp, too, like, best ever played, got MVP, and then they didn't really talk to me for a while. Like, I almost committed to North Dakota. It was like, because they were pressuring me. Kids in the Midwest, like, they commit way more early than kids on the West Coast. And you know, some kids are just wait out. So they're pressing me. And then finally Eastern gets on because I didn't want to go on a partial. I really didn't want to like pay for anything if I didn't have to. Like if I had the opportunity. And so Eastern said come down to a game. Didn't really expect much out of it. Came down here and then boom, got offered like in his office as soon as I got here, which was nuts. Like that was like just stomach drop. That was nuts. And so then that's how I ended up here. And once I heard about like the receiver culture, the culture at Eastern.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have, like, other Mountain West schools could have came, and if other than Fresno or Boise, I probably would have said no to come here just because of how special it is, so.
Yeah. Wow. What a journey, man. Like, so would you say that's kind of the key for Canadian guys is to kind of go on like a camp tour in the States to kind of get your name out there, or how would you advise a young kid in your shoes?
Yeah, there's so many ways to go about it. I think the best piece of advice I can give, though, is just like be the hardest worker. Like, there's so much social media, this, that, opportunities that weren't there when I was coming up. Like, there's a lot of guys I see that do pop-up camps out of nowhere with schools, with coaches right there. Like, doing those will be huge. I think a tour is great if you can afford it and you've got someone that gets results. Like the guy that I went with gets results. And I was a good enough player. Don't go if you're not a good player, though. Like, if you're trash, you're trash. Like, I was.
But how do you tell a kid that? Because how do you know you're trash as a kid? Because you think you're the best.
Like, maybe that's a little intense to say, like, you're trash, but, like, you're not ready. Or, like, you got to keep working. Like, I'm just so blunt with guys because it's like, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And, like someone's got to tell you at some point, bro, you got to spend a whole off season to earn the right to go on one of those trips. But, that's like, if you can just find a guide, a mentor, success leaves clues, like someone that can really give you those things. And I coach guys too and lead them through it. Like, we have a whole app and stuff. Cause that was my big thing. Like, I had to search I had to just go through everything to find the answers. And so, like, just go do research, get a plan together, start working your ass off. And then, like, email. And then you'll find out where to go to camps. But some of those tours aren't good too, because, I mean, even for me, like, going to University of Michigan, what am I doing at the University of Michigan? They're not going to offer me out of nowhere. Like, they've got guys they know they want to see. Or, like, there's a guy in our group that ran, like, a 4.4 and is, like, a freshman. Okay, now they're on his radar, like, you know? So I just, like, that's why I was like, I went on the tour because of, like, the opportunities to go to Toledo with the DFO who was at Florida. But the one that I really was like, okay, we're going to go earn it is North Dakota, because I knew the coaches really wanted to see me and I had a chance. So that's what I would say. Like, there's a whole step-by-step process, but, like, don't waste your money going on trips or going to camps. Like, the camp that we have that I ran in Kelowna, there's multiple kids that have gotten D1 offers out of that because of connections of connections. Like, I bring up people like Keelan. You think if you're not good enough, Keelan's not going to say something to the staff, or the 15 Eastern guys that are there, or this guy that knows this person. And so there's even a guy.
You guys want to see more Canadians get out.
Yes, and that's why we do the camp. So, like, this one kid, though, he's like, oh, I'm not coming to your camp. I'm going to go to Washington State's camp. I'm like, bruh, you're about to go run an L drill, get your tail beat in some one-on-ones, and see the Palouse. Like, that's sweet. Or do you want to come to where we're at, where, like, we've got legitimate connections. You're actually going to get better. Like, you need to become a better football player. But like you said, kids don't want to hear that. They want to be like, oh, I want to go see if I got what it takes. But it's like, bruh, you haven't been working. You haven't been working like a Pac-12 guy. Like, I had Washington State receiver coach call me, and then I went to the camp. Like, that's worth it. You know? Like, man, and I see it in the parents too. Anyways, like, I'll get off my my armchair, but, like, man, people don't understand. Like, you got to go earn it. Like, this is not sweet. Like, this is not really like a flower-filled road, man. Like, you got to grind. Think about how much you got to do to get to game one of college football. Like, everything you got to do high school football, let alone like what we have to do this year. Like, you got to make it from January, winter ball, spring ball, all this stuff. Practice like 22 times in fall camp, grueling practices just to get to an opportunity where you've got, I mean, if you're playing the whole, I played 75 snaps on Thursday, 75 plays for probably at least over 750 hours. Like, it's crazy. So anyways.
It's crazy too. You talk about not being ready, because I I have a story of when I don't think I was ready. I went to one of those Nike camps. It wasn't an opening, but it was like a Nike camp where it was one of the combines. Dude, it was my freshman year. Bro, I went out there and ran a 5.14. That is in the database forever.
Yeah.
Forever. And that's what I wasn't thinking about that as a kid. And that's
No.
what I think a lot of these kids need to understand is like, if you're not ready, you're not ready, but don't rush the process. The process is the process for a reason. Put in the work. And, I don't think I understood the ramifications of that at the time, but did that hurt my recruitment? I don't know. It could have, but, it's not a good look, man. So I'm just reiterating what you're saying, that like, if you're not ready, you're not ready. Wait till you are ready, 100%. Okay. So I want to ask you a few mentality questions. What keeps you going? Well, man, I feel like you've already talked about this. We might be, what keeps you going football wise?
Yeah, I haven't talked about this yet. So when I was 5 years old, my dad passed away, and I tell that story a lot because subconsciously, the meaning that I took from it was that this life is a gift. And so every single day that I wake up, like I've lived longer than my dad has. That was in the beginning of August. So like it's been a couple weeks where it's like this is overtime, compared to what my dad got. Like think about that. That's crazy.
Right.
And so that keeps me going. And then there's a million other things that I come back to. People saying I couldn't do it, this, that. But I think at the end of the day, like that's what I come back to is that this life is a gift. I only get one of them, and I really believe that I've been called to do this, to play Division I football. Like, really, I felt like that was the first time that I was in step with, my true purpose from my Creator. And it still is like what's on my heart is to go to the NFL, and so I'm going to give it everything I got. And then outside of that, now, like first pillar, go to the NFL, be the best football player that I can be. And then the other two is that I've have gotten and developed over the past couple of years since I've been here is I've realized that like this game is awesome. But as you can tell, I keep bringing it back to impacting lives and things that aren't, temporary. The other two pillars are to impact 1 billion people in terms of actually improving the quality of their life. So whether that's through books, seminars, programs, we already have the app, we have the football camp. So that's my first things, but I put all my time in football. So when it's time to really roll and help people, that'll be what I do. And then it's to become a billionaire. I love business. I love creating businesses. Like I said, we already have the one online, the coaching company. And then I want to scale it up. I want to acquire other things. And I want to be able to have the resources to really shake and move things, to be able to like really, really make a difference and make a dent in this world. Because if someone had that type of money, we would have had a new stadium by now, just as a small, example. And so imagine what else you could do with that, right? Like building schools or like, there's just so many things that you could do. And I really want to do that and make a dent in this universe while I'm here,
So talk about your app. For people that don't know about your app, talk about your app. What is it? What do you, tell us about your app.
Yeah. So it's, we're called Make It Happen Performance. So I've partnered with our strength coach here who played in the NFL. And we have a complete speed, strength, all this, every single resource that you need to go to the next level. So we break it down into a performance profile. We really want to help hungry football players go to the next level through performance coaching. So we've got physical, psychological, technical, tactical, and health. So within each of those 5 aspects, we've got 3 pillars. We make it really, really simple, but we attack it from all angles. And the reality is like a lot of these kids, they will never go into this depth, or they just won't know what to look for to get to that next level. So that's what we bring to them. We do weekly coaching calls to get on with these guys. We've already gotten, like, it's been 6 months. We've gotten crazy results. I had one guy that I worked with before this, and he gained 36 pounds in a year. So that was pretty sweet. And I'm just super passionate about, like, that's me helping the older version of myself in, like, the best way possible that I could think of with, like, literally strength, speed, all these things, videos on nutrition. I mean, just everything that you literally could think of. And so that kind of ties in with the football camp that we run where I'm from, where we partner with the NFL. Keelan was there. And we partnered with the BC Lions as well. We had over 200 athletes come out, so that was really awesome.
Was that all Canadian athletes, or was that some American and Canadian athletes?
Just Canadian. We did have an American last year, but yeah, just Canadian. I think we're really going to bridge the gap this next year. We're working on some things, partnering with a really, really big clothing brand, working on that. And then also, I think we're going to turn it into a team camp. In order for it to grow to be the best football camp, developmental football camp in the world, there needs to be some sort of an aspect where the teams play together. So that's
for like high school teams.
Yeah. And so
That'd
I think that's
awesome.
Especially with Eastern's team camps, they got canceled because of just some BS. But that was a huge thing that teams did, and so I think we're going to lean more towards that. But yeah, we'll see. That's been a really easy vehicle for me to give back through because I'm in football right now too. I might not even be able to be there next year, but we've got such an infrastructure and a team of people that it can run without me, which is pretty cool. It took a lot of work to get to that point. So those are some of the things that right now I've been focused on and growing.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, you mentioned that you're a business guy. You want to be a billionaire. You got a lot of aspirations. You got a ton of drive. You hear that whenever you hear yourself speak. If you weren't playing football, what would you be doing?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I've thought about that before. Like, say it was all taken away from me today, where would I go? Probably the first thing that I would do is I would go back to where I'm from. There's this guy named Dan Martell. He's a guy that I really look up to. And I would ask to be like under him. Like I'd clean the floors. I'd do whatever it take. And I just would get around him a little bit. From there, I probably would get a sales job to start out. And then I just would like invest in myself like crazy. Any money that I would make, I would spend on learning skills in order to buy back my time. And then I just would scale it up from there. So I would put a lot into this app, figure a way to scale it up to 10K a month. Because if I really had the time and resources, I think I could do that. It's just tough because we're playing football right now.
You can do it. Don't say you think you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also there's some things that I got to work through with that. But yeah, absolutely. That's probably what I would do. Like I said, I just would learn skills. Like I wouldn't even think about earning at all. I just would think about learning and getting around people like that. So getting around Dan, I get around this guy named Billy Jean. Like there's just a list of people that I would get money in order to go pay to be around them and learn from them and just be a sponge. That's what I would do.
I like that. So when you think about your overall impact and legacy on the next generation, on your kids, on your teammates, what do you want that to be?
Wow, yeah, that's I have this whole thing written up. It's called a tombstone statement. So, and I do this a lot where I visualize being at my funeral. What are they saying about me? Who's there? That was a really big thing that changed my life. Like 6 years ago, I was not the best person that I could be. I was very abrasive, and I started to really think what would they say about me? And that's something that's super powerful to anyone to think about, right? And to visualize that. And so I think at the end of the day, I just want to be known as someone who loved, who gave, and did all those things that I was talking about in terms of living it every single day. Whether or not I reach those 3 pillars, that I strive for it every single second, that I really put people first, and that I was in step, like I said, with that purpose that was from, my creator. So, yeah.
So, I got one more topic I want to ask you about. Obviously, Keelan's my young bull, one of my young guys. He was number 10 on the CFL list of top 10 players. And I think that was Canadian, players that play Canadian college football and obviously American college football. You were number 6 on that list. What does that mean to you? And what does that mean to you?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Obviously, my goal is the NFL.
Yeah.
But dang, I think it just puts it in perspective. Even when I was looking to go D1, I never thought about pro football. I didn't care. I didn't want to talk to anyone about the NFL or the CFL because I was just so focused on getting that done. And to think back to like that version of myself and what they would think now, I think they'd be pretty damn proud. You know, like you said, for me, there's always like, man, I wish I would have done this or that, or I wish we would have won more games. But man, it meant a lot. And just to see like that list of guys that you're next to too, it's pretty cool because you come into high school and you see some of those names fall off, and for Keelan and I both to be there, it's something to be super proud of, that we've been very, very consistent with the process, with all these things that we've been talking about. We've practiced what we preach to these kids. And so it's exciting. And I think it's cool for me because it's validation of the hard work. Like sometimes you're grinding for years and yeah, like it especially for me, right? Like playing with all these great receivers.
Yeah.
And being in the shadow sometimes, damn, like I know I can do the same things. I know that I have abilities. And I know you can relate to that too, playing with great players yourself. Like, so it meant a lot to see that. And I'm just so excited for this senior year. I think we've got a really special team, and I'll be in the position to do some really special things, not only individually, but as a team with all these guys that I love. So,
man. Well, I'm excited to see how this year plays out for you guys, man. I'm going to be tapped into it. Like I mentioned, man, I love your mentality. I love everything you're about, man. Like I like that, you had a vision for your life, and you had an epiphany one day. You wanted to change your life around. You have goals, you set goals, you go attack them with everything in you. I love that so much, man, and I can't wait to see how it pans out for you, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm telling you, like, especially when you I think when you followed me or something like that, I was like, damn, this guy followed me. And then I seen you at the Big Sky thing. Like, it's cool to see you showing so much love and coming back, and like you're going to be super successful with all this stuff, whatever you want to do, just because your energy, and you're just like such a good dude. Like, and I say that really genuinely. Like sometimes, like, you see guys making plays and it's kind of a letdown. Like, it's not a letdown at all, man. Like, so I'm really grateful that we've connected and that you reached out to do this. And for you to be, able to be close watching this senior year for myself, and then seeing where our relationship goes from there, man. So it's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for being on, man. I appreciate you so much.